I've got to show you something real fast, alright? Just stay with me. Holy shit, dude. It just keeps going, man. It keeps going. Look at this. Alright, let's go right into the topic. This video will be split into two, halves or two just segments. And that's basically because this, right now, is being recorded one day before the actual release of the game, right? And the second part will be basically me talking more about my personal experience, after, let's say, like an hour of playing the game or something like that. I wanted to originally do it all at once, because it's called one take. It's still gonna be one take, it's just gonna be two of them combined. And the reason for that is that because I want this video including two things, and I just don't know why wait for the first one. So the first one has to do with the start of this video, where I'm showing you something. Maybe you don't understand what that means, I will explain it now. Basically, the first week, I guess, because technically the game is coming out on the 6th, but because Bethesda is taxing fans of Bethesda, I don't know how much more it is, but if you buy the extended version or just like a premium edition of Starfield, I'm not sure how it's called, you get 1 week, before everybody else can play. That's literally tax on fans. There's no other way to label it. But what I wanted to talk about is it's actually genius for Bethesda to do this for one reason. But it sort of backfired in some way. Not completely, but in some way, and I think it's fucking hilarious. Alright, so the thing is, if you bought the, if you have the premium edition or whatever, and you got to play the game for, I think, like about a week now, maybe a little bit less than a week, I'm not sure. If you got the extended period where you can already play the game, I think on the 1st, it was September 1st, I think, that people could play already. If you had that additional 6 days of gameplay that other people didn't, then you have experienced the game, for a week before you could actually rate it on websites like Metacritic or something. Every website where you can submit your own, review or just score for a video game, they have embargo like everything else. And the embargo is usually for, people who receive the game early, like a special person, not just people who paid extra 20 bucks or whatever, but special people, like, for example, like amateur, reviewers, not the actual journalists. So the embargo is there for that reason. However, Bethesda lets you play the game on 1 week, and I think before even playing the game, I'm saying this right now, I have not played the game yet, and I'm so curious if I'm right, but like, I know already I'm right based on the people's reaction today. Basically, you need about 3 or 2 days if you play the game a lot. You need about 2 or 3 days of the gameplay to realize that it takes more than 20 minutes to understand how the game is, how the game plays, how the story is developing, what pace the game is at, and all these things. Because Bethesda knows that they have made games similar to, Skyrim or Fallout, and these games they have made, they are very slow burn. You need to play the game for a week at least, at the very least, to just get a sense of how the game is. And that's why they decided that the hardcore fans that want to play as soon as possible, that fucking take day off or week off work or school, I guess, to just play this game, they knew they will pay the extra money to play the game a week earlier. But while you can get the week before everybody else, you can't rate it anywhere, because in order for you to fully understand how the game is, at least in Bethesda's opinion, you need that extra time. To put it in other words, if they didn't do this, and everybody, all the hardcore fans, everybody, right, on Steam, that are putting the Steam reviews there, all these people who would actually just play it on the 6th for the first time, they will all flood the game with probably, mixed or negative reviews. And not because the game is bad, but because it takes time. And a lot of people were disappointed in a lot of things. I've showed that at the start, right? There is a lot of things about the game that people didn't like at the very beginning. I've seen how the minimap looks like, or not minimap, like a regular map, right? I've seen how that looks like. That doesn't look like fun. If that's how the game actually is, it seems to me like it will be difficult for people to accept, because it seems like the game doesn't do a couple of things the conventional way. And the map is one of those things that a lot of, like, I've been monitoring it, and I've seen other people complaining about the map a lot. Like, what the hell is this? I can't tell where I am on the map, and all these things. So, like, to put it bluntly, I think that people are just jumping to conclusions way too hard. And I think Bethesda saw an opportunity to, one, make lots of fucking money, and two, to just, help themselves look better. Because by the time the embargo lifts, the people who are hardcore playing the game and really wanted and looked forward to it already know the base. They already had a week to look at it for real, right? Because what else are you gonna do? You can't post your actual opinions yet. So for these people who are that, who are that determined, they had a week. For people, I guess like me, I don't really care about Starfield that hard, or like, I didn't love Fallout 4, I didn't love Skyrim. I think those games are great. They're RPGs, and I like RPGs, it's just like, whatever, that's not the point. So, that was really smart of Bethesda to do, but it did backfire, because the first fucking 2 days, I've looked at a lot of other like places on YouTube even, and like these places, but like, yeah, the Reddit, the subreddit for Starfield, that was something else, because the first fucking like 8 hours of the game being unofficially out, like, September 2nd, September 1st, people were going ballistic over a lot of things. Like, the things I did here, for example, is that you can fast travel, because you can't actually explore the planets as much as people expected, I guess. So it means that, like, there's a lot of loading screens in between, fast traveling everywhere. You can't, like, there's very, the maps are very small compared to what people imagined, because what the, trailers and what the company promised is that you can travel on a planet and you can explore it. People didn't really think about this, but actually exploring, a lot of planets that are not, occupied by people are really fucking boring. I think people expected the No Man's Sky treatment, I think, a little bit, like every planet has something. Apparently, Starfield doesn't. And, I mean, I personally, I would say that's very realistic, but I think people got like, disappointed that every map is kind of like box, like a little box of like actual things happening, and the rest doesn't exist, basically, because I don't know how you would imagine that, but like if you had an entire planet every time you land on it to explore, and let's say you had like 4 cities across a planet, which is insane, like small number, but imagine that if you had to fucking walk to each fucking town on that planet, you would die of boredom, right? So like, that's just one of those things. Like, people don't think about the logistics of making a video game fun and interesting to explore while having multiple planets, right? When you compare it to a relatively small map of Skyrim or Fallout 4. This is a different undertaking for Bethesda now. So they did it their way, and it's still Bethesda game, and it's still just a game. But yeah, people got disappointed because people have super high expectations of everything every time. I can't wait for GTA 6, to start promising what are all the things you can do in the game, just to be disappointed that it's just Red Dead Redemption 2 with mods or something like that, because that's what they kept saying about Fallout 4, that's what they said about Skyrim at some point, and that's what they were saying about, a lot of other games. That's just how people are. They have insane expectations, and it takes a little bit. It takes about a week for them to calm down and play through the game that is let down, right? And when they played through it for a couple of hours, they realized, oh, actually, this is really fun. I had a lot of fun. And they completely forget in a couple of days that they had, they had all these problems with it in the first place. So, yeah, I think Bethesda did a really good job thinking ahead about this because, yeah, that people would absolutely be really upset about a lot of the things. But yeah, when I've seen how people are acting, how people like complaining about things that make sense, when you read some of them, it makes sense the game would be like this. What did you expect? Yeah, it turns out people just expected insane things from the game. So yeah, that's it for the first part of this video. We have gone to 10 minutes of like talking about that. I'm happy with that. Um, for me personally, Starfield is coming out in here. It's gonna be like 11 p.m. Today, and I'm working tomorrow, so I can't stay up. You know, not only I can stay up to 11, but I can't play an hour or two of a video game and then go to sleep and then go to work. So for me, at the earliest, I can play the game tomorrow at around 3, which means that I will be, I will have to play the game for a bit. So I don't think this video is coming out tomorrow either. We'll see. I don't think so, but we'll see. Either way, first part is done, and I can't wait to see. My expectations are timid. I have played Bethesda games before, and people were absolutely in love with Fallout 4, whereas I was like, I don't want to say unimpressed, but I just think people get off, like people who love that game, get off on different things than me, which makes sense. So I expect the game to let me fly my own ship, to meet people and recruit them. I've actually seen that like from some of the posts on Reddit, so I know that's possible. I expect the game to, let me shoot people, let me steal things, and, just take side quests. And I'm hoping to fucking God that I get to do some meaningful decisions. And that's my checklist. I don't really think about anything else. I'm not thinking about upgrading anything like weapons or stuff like that. I will probably play around with, customization of your character a little bit. I'm not a huge on it, but I will do some things. I know you have to do the backgrounds and all these things. That's gonna be fun. I have no other expectations of the game, so I'm curious personally what I will say about it after playing it for a while. Yeah, so that's it. Alright, and now let's talk about the actual game and the actual gameplay. So, this will not be, I don't have any points in front of me to bounce off of, so I hope I can recall in time at least most of the things that I want to say. I will say this right away, I really think I've just positives to say about the game. There are things I could say that are not positive, but I feel like like they are not something that will prepare you, because I think they are very subjective. There are, a lot of the things I have problems with are my own problems. For example, I feel like the optimization isn't exactly good, but I also don't think my computer is the best. So, that's the type of things I have problems with. Let's talk about just the things that I can now think of, because I don't wanna, I don't wanna like just think while recording. So first of all, one thing I was really skeptical about, mostly because I didn't research this beforehand. I didn't like, I wasn't watching all these gameplay trailers or interviews, right? So I didn't know this. I actually didn't care to know everything about the game before the release. So a lot of the things caught me off guard, like a lot. One first thing I actually can, safely say is that the way lock picking works in this game is unique and really I don't know how to describe it. It's just like I it's just so unique. It's so new. I've never seen lockpicking like this. I like it. I'm not exactly sure yet how it works. I have an idea, but I've played the game. Let me see this real quick. I will click here. I will tell you right now. I have played the game for 3 hours. Basically, just as soon as I got off work and back home, I played up until almost now. I've been doing other things, but basically after recording this, I'm going to sleep. So I've devoted as much time as possible today to just play. Now, obviously, this is not a review thing or anything like that. Like I said before, in the first part, this is just gonna be me telling you, the very first things on my mind after playing. So the lockpicking thing, I can't explain this like in the video, just going by memory right now, I can't explain how it works, but believe me, it's different and new. It's nothing, absolutely nothing like Fallout 4. Obviously nothing like Skyrim. It's just new. It's just Bethesda made a new fucking thing. And I'm sorry if that sounds like it's, I don't know, condescending or something like that. But I'm so baffled that they have actually created something like unique. And I mean, so far it was fun. It wasn't anything, bad. I do have a problem, and I think they had this in Fallout 4 too. I'm not sure now, but I think so. I don't like the fact that you can't lockpick everything. Because I remember that in Skyrim you could just lockpick everything and it was only a question of your own skill as a player's, mouse and keyboard skill. It had nothing to do with, or it had something to do with your skills actually in the game, but you could always try to lockpick or pick any lock you wanted. And in this game there is the no, or I don't know if novice, but it's like easy, hard, and extreme or something like that. So like, yeah, there are locks I can't lockpick right away, which sucks for me because I really like to do that in games like this, but I guess it makes sense for balancing reasons. So that's lockpicking. Another thing, another fucking thing, this fucking game, man. I was so surprised. I was so surprised by so many things that I just didn't anticipate. Maybe my expectations were like super low or something like that. I don't know. To be honest, if I can say honestly what I was expecting better looking Fallout 4. And I remember playing Fallout 4 and being like underwhelmed by it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it. Like it wasn't. I didn't finish Fallout 4. I have tried to play that game twice. Like first when it was released, and then like fucking 5 years, 6 years, 7 years later, no. Both times just bored. Just like that game didn't fucking agree with me whatsoever. This game is just, it's not Fallout 4. It's not, it's absolutely a Bethesda game, but it's nothing like any Bethesda game I've played. It's just so weird. It's so nice though, because thank God this has its own name, because the first thing I was thinking is like, oh, what are we gonna compare this one to? Because that's what people do all the time, right? And like, there's nothing like it. It's not like Skyrim. It's not like Fallout. It's its own thing. It really is its own thing, and that is so. Well, first of all, it's so refreshing, right? But second, it's so great for Bethesda to actually make something like, actually separating itself from, they have the two genres they had was the post-apocalypse, which was the Fallout, and they had the medieval stuff, which was, the Elder Scrolls, Skyrim and whatnot. So it's so cool to see that they made like this futuristic space exploration game, but it's actually its own thing. It definitely is its own vibe, its own style, everything. It's very, very new, and that is great. And that alone, by the way, should make you seriously consider playing the game if you are not already, because it really is Bethesda game. It's just very new and very unique in a lot of ways. Another thing I wanted to mention, that's why I'm on the tangent, is that they have new system of like in I love to talk in RPG games. I really like to talk myself out of things. So my you know, my currently my character has, I don't know, like you don't get to assign charisma like points or something like that, but you can, you know, level up certain abilities or skills. Just depending on what you pick, really. Like there are things like once you pick a skill, you then have these challenges, which basically include like using the abilities to upgrade them further, which makes sense, right? But if you want to choose to have like better speech and stuff like that, you don't have to like put points in it. You just have to pick it and then start like using it, right? And so I picked the I don't know what it's called now, but basically it means that like something like persuasion, right? Like I don't know what it's called now exactly, but it has to do with like convincing people to do things they don't want to do, which is just fucking that's my thing. I'm a thief. I like to pick locks. I like to steal, and I like to fucking talk people out of things. That's my deal. That's how I played games like this. And so this game absolutely lets you do that, by the way. And so I have the persuasion thing, right? So this game, Starfield, has completely new way of making you like persuade people. You actually have to play this dialogue minigame to persuade people. Like, I don't know. Again, this is like really hard to from just talking to explain it. Maybe if I'm lucky, because I will just record the game, how much I need to record it. I don't know if I will be lucky enough to show you this. I probably won't, because it's probably just gonna be like raw gameplay. But if I will, then great. Basically, you have a choice to persuade a person. And then you have these points, and I'm guessing that further down the game, and you know, meeting different characters, you will probably have to get more points, but so far I had to persuade like 4 people, I think, and they all had like these 4 or maybe 5, I'm not sure, points. And you gain points when you gain the, you know, needed amount, you persuade them, right? Successful persuasion. But in order to get the points, you need to be like choosing dialogues, and each dialogue is like green, yellow, and red. And green is like +1, yellow is +3, and red is +5, right? So like green is the easiest one to get through. Yellow is the harder one, right? You get the point. And the thing is, what I learned while playing the game for a bit now is that not only that in itself, that I've never fucking seen in a Bethesda video game before, right? I've never even seen it in a fucking RPG game, honestly. It's really interesting, and it's not complicated. It's just interesting and unique. It's not overly complicated. You will get used to it really fast. And the thing I've noticed is that depending on how you build your character, I guess, too, but it's not always like you have to actually read through the dialogue, because what I've done like the first couple of times was like just choosing the easy ones because I knew I can get them. But turns out the green ones, the easy ones, are sometimes like not making a lot of sense in the conversation, and I've often failed to get the 1 point. And it turns out the +3 or +2 that are orange, that are harder to get, but make a lot of more sense, have actually better chances at you getting them. So it actually is worth very often to read through all the dialogues, even if they are harder to, you know, have lower percentage of succeeding, just because the dialogue makes more sense sometimes. And that is great, because that just means that I have to actually read through them. There's no like time limit or anything like that. You can read through everything. So that's like, I don't know, just like I have such a great vibe from that. Like that's great. That's as close to like free reign RPG as like I could imagine it. So super surprised that Bethesda went that way. Like they actually went and like, you know, just making shit, just new stuff. This is absolutely not inspired by Fallout or Skyrim or anything else they've done before. This is literally like a new thing to them. A lot of things that Starfield is doing is not Bethesda-like. It's very good. It's much better than every other game they have made so far. very like they build upon it, right? It's not like different from the games. It's just very like much better in my opinion because it's plays on its strengths a lot. So that's the persuasion thing. That's what that's another thing that I was able to, you know, to try out and see how it works. Uh, I want to talk about a little bit at least about the ship, about how the all these things. Man, the fucking ship and just like driving the ship. I don't know how you call it, like flying the ship, right? Like everything is so complicated, man. I don't really know how I feel about it right now. Right now I don't like it, but that's because I don't know how to use it properly yet, and I know that, but I don't know how I feel about it. I have no firm opinions on this because it's really difficult for me. So the one thing I can say that I took away from it, that I know about it right now, is that, well, obviously you can build your own ship down the line. I'm nowhere near being able to do that right now, but I know I can at some point. But right now I have the base ship. I don't know, what is it called? Uh, Frontier? Yeah, I think it's called Frontier. And so that's just like the first ship you get, and people say the first one is garbage, but like I don't have any money, so like that's what I really have right now. I don't think it's that bad, by the way, but it's just that like knowing nothing about it right now, besides few like a little bit of tutorial, but not really. Like the tutorial kind of shows you some things, but it doesn't hold your hand quite as much as I would like, because I personally don't feel like trying. Right now I don't feel like learning it, so that makes me not want to try it yet. I will do it eventually, but not right now. One thing I've learned about it though is that like they have actually implemented one interesting thing, and that is if anybody played faster than light, FLD, F FTL, or I don't know what that was. FTL is the name of the game I'm thinking of. It's a pixel game, a 2D game, I guess you could call it, and it's about managing your ship. One of the things in that game is that you can assign different amount of energy to different parts of the ship, right? So you can assign to shield, to engines, to weapons, and Starfield essentially does that exactly. With your ship, you can assign different amount of energy to different thing, so you can have, you can max out shields when you're in combat and drain the energy from your engines and stuff like that, which, that's interesting. But the thing is, right now at least, I don't really like, it's just controls, man. I feel like this game has a lot, like a lot of games like this these days, they are designed for controllers and not for keyboard and mouse. And I can really tell from this game that it's not exactly meant for a keyboard. They have implemented it well enough, but I'm sure that if I had a controller right now, it would be better. Because there are some things about, especially when it comes to the ship, that just don't make a lot of sense for a keyboard. And I'm just better at it right now, that's for sure. So it was interesting. It was interesting experience. Yeah, like I said, I have to work on it. I have to learn it better. And man, is it new. That's another huge new thing that Bethesda did for Starfield that just has no parallel. There is nothing to compare this to. Not even different games, like different companies. No company has done something like this, I feel like, and definitely not Bethesda themselves. So they have definitely, like, I don't know if they got inspired with like Star Citizen or some shit like that. Probably not. But it looks close to that, honestly. I've seen some footage of Star Citizen before, so I think they have definitely made like steps in that direction. But it's probably not that complicated. But it is complicated at the same time. It's like it's not easy to control exactly. But yeah, that is just, I will need to fucking work on that. Yeah, that's gonna be big part of the game, I think. So I need to work on that. Um Yeah, there's a lot of other things, man. I love pickpocketing too. Turns out, basically how it works in this game. I don't know if that's actually in Fallout because I don't remember that game. But in this game, every time you try to pickpocket somebody, it gives you like a percentage chances. And so, like, maybe I was getting lucky because basically when you want to steal money from people, right, at least right now, I think if I upgrade the skill, it's gonna be a bit better. But right now, you get like 50% chance almost every time to steal money. So like you need to always fucking quick save, steal money and see the 50-50 how it falls. I guess that's one way to do pickpocketing. I don't know like if there is a better way to do it, probably, but I don't have like strong feelings about it. It's just like if you want like to make pickpocketing interesting, I don't think just stealing money is the way to do it. Often, if I could steal like somebody's keys, which happened to me once so far, I'm guessing it's gonna get better. But I don't know that, right? And I would hope so. Yeah, pickpocketing is fun too, but it doesn't seem like that's gonna be like the thing, right? Like I wouldn't go into the direction of like I'm gonna be a thief character because there are things you can do as a thief character. It's just not that it's not explored for the game too much. So it's fun, but it's not the point of the game, obviously. Um, yeah, there is one thing that I'm so glad that the game has, and I'm not surprised by it. Maybe a little bit surprised by it, but not that much. There's a gameplay trailer or gameplay footage from, like about a week or like a long time ago, I don't know, like 2 weeks ago, when they have showed the long, like 30 minutes or 40 minutes of footage. And in that amount of time, there's like a mission where in the video, you need to shoot these pirates or whatever they're called. And that mission, that actual scenario happens like in the first hour of the game. Like it's like inevitable main storyline thing. Uh, and I was surprised that you can literally talk yourself out of shooting them. You can, because the point, I don't know, this is not a spoiler. You can't avoid this just playing the game for 1 hour. So I don't consider something like that a spoiler. The point is, you need to get the pirates off your case because you need to travel somewhere and they keep harassing you. That's like a story thing. That's not like, they just do that. No, it's actual like connected to the start of the game. So the point of this mission is to either kill them, right, or persuade them to leave you alone. And the pirates basically open a dialogue with you and they say, well, we know there is something of like a huge value on your ship. That's why we are chasing after you. And you have actually choice. You get to have the choice if you have the persuasion skill, which only you will have if you choose the origin that I did. So if you want that gameplay, then make sure that when you're creating your character, you have the persuasion skill already unlocked, right? But if you do have that, you can talk yourself out of it, literally telling them like, this is so great because this felt to me so cool, only because that's what I was thinking at the time. I was like, well, there's nothing on the ship, so this conversation is fucking dumb. And I was actually able to fucking say that in a dialogue. And they actually listened to me because I was like, well, because that was like the easy one to get, right? Like for one point was like, well, there's nothing on the ship, so I can literally let you fucking walk into the ship with me. You will see there's nothing in there. And, then the dialogue went further and eventually I persuaded them to fuck off and it worked. And it was just such a cool moment because I was like, well, I wish I could just tell them there's nothing on the ship so we would not have to kill each other. And then I fucking did that. And that's about as much, like that's what I want from my goddamn RPG game. That's it. That's what I want to be able to do, and I was able to do that. So Yeah, I have nothing but praise for that game so far from this regard. There are things, but it's too early to have criticism of that kind, I think. Right now, I'm just sharing the things that blew me away because this game, I mean, like I said again, I'm sure a lot of people had crazy expectations that didn't, that weren't met, and that's dumb. But I had none. You know what I have expected? I will tell you what I fucking expected. I expected slightly better looking Fallout 5. And I got not that. I got an actual new IP, actual new genre of a video game. And yeah, you can definitely tell it's better as the game. Like there are core things like how NPCs move, how they react to, and stuff like. Definitely better as the game. That didn't change, and I'm sure it's on the same engine too. So like these things didn't change. You can tell it's better as the game 100%. It's just like so many new things that I didn't expect. One thing I will tell you, I don't know if this is a coincidence, but it didn't feel like it. Uh, when you start on the ship, you start with having the robot that you probably know about from the gameplay footage that they released before the game was released. There's the robot, and you can name your character that you play with any words, I'm guessing. I literally just called my own guy Thomas because I didn't know what name would I pick. I just blanked out, so I just typed that out. Uh, you can type more words. I typed just one, just the name, but you can type like full name or whatever you want. Why am I talking about this? The thing is, the robot you are traveling with is the only robot that actually says your name. And I think, I'm not sure if anybody wants to try it out, you can try it out. I called myself Thomas, and it's possible that the game recognizes when you actually type out a good name or normal name, and they have like list of names that the robot can say, right? Maybe. But what I think, because the robot is the only character in the game that actually says the name you type out. And he says it in a robotic voice, obviously. And I think they just, like, I think literally Bethesda made some kind of text to speech to actually say your name you typed out for your character. Because the robot actually does say the name I typed out every time it talks to me. And it says, like I said, obviously it says it in the robotic voice. So it's like, immersive. But I'm pretty sure it's just the text to speech. That's like, that's no new technology today. But I think they have literally implemented it only on the robot because with the robot, text to speech actually makes sense. And I think that's just a brilliant idea. That's just so genius to do. I mean, this could have honestly worked for Fallout 4 too. If they thought about it at the time, they could have totally made a robot that would have actually said any name that you type out, because text-to-speech was at the time, I'm sure, already implemented in things. But yeah, Starfield does that. They actually, like, if you create your type, if you type out like a name, like I said, I think it's text to speech, so you can type probably anything, but I don't know that because I didn't type out anything. I literally typed out completely regular name, and the robot just text to speech talks to you with your name in the dialogue. And I don't know why that made me so giddy, but it did, because it's like, that's so obvious. That's such an obvious. How do we do that in an RPG game where you obviously want to make your own character? You don't want to play as a pre-created character. You want to be you, right? How do we do that? Well, this is just such an elegant, simple thing to do. So yeah, I have never seen so far anybody even mention that. That's why I'm saying it's like one little thing that was so interesting to me about it. It's like that took me off the fucking guard, because I knew when I type out my own name, like it's probably gonna be kind of useless because I will never, like, beside it being maybe somewhere like on the ship or something, and beside it maybe being like, when I don't know where, right? But why type out my own name? Like, that's the first thought what I was thinking when the game asked me to type out my own name, was like, what is this for? When I don't talk. My character doesn't have a voice actor, so like, why do I care? And I mean, so far, right, I didn't fucking play the whole game, but so far, the reason was that this robot literally says the name. Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know why this makes me just. But you know what makes me? It doesn't make me happy, but it makes me like. I appreciate the simplicity of what they have done. Like, there are a lot of things about the game that are really complex and interesting and new, but this was one of the things I was like, I can't even question how is it possible, because it's so obvious. How is that possible? The better question is, why are games not doing this more often? And I mean, it's probably hard to do that when you don't have a robot in your game, but Starfield has a robot companion in your game, so that's how easy it is to do that. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, you know what? I honestly I expected to have more like things to say, like on the negative side. Not that I wanted to bash the game, not at all, but I expected to not like it as much. So far, I'm not like super into it, because there's still a lot of things that I haven't done, and there are still things that I've done that I wasn't good at. Like, I don't look forward to learning how to fly and fire with the ship and all these things, and it felt very out of control for me, and I don't like that feeling. So I'm not looking forward to that, and I have a feeling a lot of people who will start playing this game will have big problems with the ship, because the ship is uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable for me, at least, because yeah, it's like it's a ship. It's not, you know, WASD controls. It's much more complicated than that, and I think a lot of people will find that intimidating at first. I do, and that's why I don't feel like doing it more. So yeah, which is stupid, because Starfield, space exploration, you probably want to use the spaceship. So that's like one negative for me right now. It's like getting used to that, and I don't feel like doing that. So yeah. But yeah, but then honestly, I just want to play more of the game. I can't afford that right now, but you know what? Over the weekend, tomorrow, all that, I will have time, and likely the next time I'm making another video, or another one of those videos like this, uh, I might be talking more about Starfield, because that's probably the majority of the time, like, what I will be doing. So when it comes down to like sharing more new things, what I learned so far, likely I will do that again, but this was just me getting a little taste of it and sharing what I thought about it. Yeah, so far I definitely, for somebody who doesn't particularly care about Bethesda games, I didn't enjoy Skyrim all that hard like some people. I didn't really like Fallout 4 all that much. I've even played Fallout 3, I think. And yeah, just this is not either of those games. And I do enjoy it. So it's interesting. Right. And that's all from me, I think. I've talked enough about it already, and I have to still like collect my thoughts about it. This was very fast for me. I need more time with it. And you definitely can't judge this game by 3 hours of gameplay. Not at all. I can feel like I've scratched the surface of some things. Like, I don't even remember what's the point of the game, or the story, I mean, because I've been so sidetracked by all the side quests so far. I don't remember how the game started anymore. So yeah, it's gonna be a very long journey for most people probably. So 3 hours, not enough at all. So yeah, I'm gonna talk to you about this one later.